What if I told you within 30 seconds of meeting a woman, she's already decided whether she sleep with you or not? And more importantly, what if I told you that 90% of men completely miss the signal she's sending? Sounds crazy, but it's true. And so today, I'm going to teach you how to read women like a book so that you never waste time chasing someone who's already mentally friend-zoned you. More specifically, I'm going to be breaking down the exact micro signals that separate high-interest women from time wasters. And trust me, once you learn this skill, your dating life will never be the same. Let's dive in. So starting off, let's talk about why the first 30 seconds are so crucial. Something in psychology, this is called the thin slice judgment, which all it really means is that humans make accurate assessments within milliseconds. And so essentially women have evolved to quickly evaluate potential mates for safety and genetic quality. This is why you probably have heard in the past that women make split decisions or very quick decisions on whether or not they find you as a viable sort of partner or if they're attracted to you. Now, this isn't necessarily conscious, it's actually happening on a biological and subconscious level. So here's the reality that most guys really don't understand, and that is while she's actually making small talk to you, her subconscious is running a full diagnostic on multiple factors about you. You know, your attractiveness, your status, even your overall sexual potential. Now, the key here is to actually learn and read micro expressions before she realizes that she's sending them. So most guys completely miss this. They think that they have time to actually build attraction or to get to know her, you know, be that friend first. But here's the truth, and that is female attraction either exists immediately or it doesn't. And your job isn't to necessarily create attraction for nothing. Your job is actually to recognize whether or not the attraction is already there. But to correctly assess whether or not a woman is actually interested in you, you need to understand the 4 levels of attraction or interest. Because without this, you might as well be shooting darts blindfolded. Now, perhaps one of the most important things you can learn when it comes to women is not only their nature, but also their interest levels, because this will literally dictate everything. In the past, I have talked about interest levels before, more so from an online dating perspective, but right now I kind of want to break down the interest level hierarchy and really put it into 4 distinct levels. And so level 1 is going to be straight up repulsion, aka very low interest. She's literally actively trying to get away from you. She sees you as a creep and there is no attraction there. Now, level 2 is going to be indifference, otherwise known as low interest. You're there, but she really doesn't notice you. You know, you're basically just furniture to her. It's really, really hard to come up from this level. Now, with level 3, this is where we start getting, you know, some modest degree of interest or what I call curiosity. She's intrigued on you, but she completely isn't sold on you. To be honest, level 3 is where most guys are gonna meet women at. Now with level 4, this is gonna be pure attraction, aka high interest. She wants you to actually escalate and create a scenario in which you guys are together. Now here's the problem though, and that is most guys actually can't tell the difference between level 2 and level 4. They waste months texting girls who see them as entertainment, not as sexual options. In fact, I have been guilty of this myself. Back in the past, I used to think a woman was interested in me, but the truth is she just wanted to text me, or she just liked the idea of potentially going out with me, but she never really saw me as a real option. And this is exactly why you need to learn, once again, the specific signals for each level. So now that you're equipped with the fundamental base knowledge needed to make this work, let's actually get into reading those signals. And we're going to start off by reading her body. Now, I want you to forget the open versus closed posture. Those rules miss the subtle indicators that actually matter. First, let's talk about high interest signals. And the first one is going to be a proximity violation. This is essentially where she steps into your personal space without being forced by the environment. Because let's be real, women are hyper aware of their spatial boundaries. And if she's violating yours, then trust me, that is very, very intentional. And that should be a massive green light, but the truth is most guys don't even recognize it. Also, we have the triangle gaze. Now, this is something that's going to be more common, especially while you're out on a first date. But basically with the triangle gaze, this is where she looks at your eyes and then your mouth and then back to your eyes. This is called triangulation, oddly enough. Right? And so it's essentially her subconscious preparing for potential intimacy. And if you actually catch this pattern, she's thinking about kissing you. She's just too afraid to say it, or she might even be nervous. So this is why you really got to pay attention to the eyes. Honestly, there's a reason why people say the eyes are the window to the soul, and that's an absolute fact. Now, another one's going to be more on our body, and this one's called mirroring. So I know you probably have heard this because everybody talks about it, but when I'm I'm about to tell you is really an advanced version. And that is when she mirrors your movements, but it also adds her own flair. So for example, you lean back, she also leans back, but also she might touch her hair, she might look to the side, she might graze her arm, adjust her watch, something like that. So with this method, she's not directly copying you movement for movement, she's improving on your energy. So that's a little bit of flair to it. Now, up next, we have the touch test. This is where she finds any and every excuse to touch you. This has happened to me a lot of times whenever I was speaking to a woman. You can go back and watch the public interviews I used to do. You guys have even noticed that women were touching me as they were talking to me. But the crazy part is that even as somebody as advanced like myself, in that actual moment, I missed this until I watched the video back. And so this might be her saying something like, oh, you're so funny, touching your arm or getting close to you, even grabbing your wrist, asking to see your watch, just literally creating any opportunity for physical contact. Because you guys should know, women do not touch men they're not attracted to. So if you are getting any of these signals, there's a very high likelihood that she finds you attractive. But don't pat yourself on the back just yet, because you also need to look out for the other side of the coin, and that is signals that show that she's not interested. So the first one is going to be a phone shield. This is where the phone stays between you two, her phone, even when it's face down on the table. This is essentially creating like a psychological barrier between you two. And once again, a lot of this stuff like really isn't intentional. It's actually through her subconscious, and her body language is just showcasing her lack of interest through that. Now, high interest women put phones away or turn them face down away from the interaction. They're not going to try to create a barrier between you guys. Even when you guys are like sitting down, if she purposely like try to create space between you, that's usually a sign of low interest, or in some cases, a sign of not being fully comfortable yet. Now, also, let me mention scanning. This is where her eyes are constantly scanning the room while you talk. She's basically looking for better options or an escape route. Women who are genuinely interested will always maintain focus even in busy environments. All right, so once again, we're noticing the eyes here. Pay attention because they really will tell the story. Also, let's talk about the lean away. This is subtle, but it's super crucial, and that is her torso is sort of angled away from you. Even if she's facing you with her head, her body is basically leaving the conversation. So trust the body language over the words that she's saying. Now, this is one of the most powerful ways you can assess a woman's interest level, but there's also a whole other side to the equation that I don't see many people talking about, and that is vocal patterns. And here's where most men completely miss the boat, because her voice is going to change whenever she's attracted to you. A high interest vocal cue will be essentially pitch modulation. Women who are attracted to you vary their vocal pitch more dramatically. They go higher whenever they're excited, they go lower whenever they're seductive. And if she's having these sort of monotone responses or short words, then basically those are interest killers. She's not that interested. So really pay attention to their voice, their eyes, and also their body language. Now, staying on the conversational topic, one thing you really have to pay attention to is simply if she asks questions back. Even with online dating, if you ask a question and she rarely says, "What about you?" or asks some sort of question back, then that's usually a sign of low interest or just being distracted, which also ties into low interest. So you need to pay attention to whether or not she asks follow-up questions, because interested women are naturally going to be curious about you. And if she's just answering without any sort of reciprocation, this is what's putting you in that interview mode and not seduction mode. And there's a reason why she's purposely leading the conversation towards interview mode. Now, you might be asking yourself, like, why would a woman even engage in conversation with me, be it text, dating apps, or even in person, if she's not interested? What you got to keep in mind is that women can't necessarily be honest nowadays. They're almost afraid to reject a lot of guys because they're in fear of how that guy would react if they were to get rejected. So what a lot of women do is do these subconscious cues as we're talking about, and or if they even do give you their number, they're going to reject you whenever you try to text them. Now, if you are mastering spotting the body language we talked about and vocal patterns, I promise you, you're going to be ahead of 90% of men. But you can actually take this a level further by learning to read the micro expressions that give you 100% accuracy. This is the goldmine that the highest value men use to never waste time on the wrong women. So now we're moving into more advanced level stuff. But once you see these micro expressions, you can't unsee them, and they'll become your secret secret weapon for reading women with deadly accuracy. So first we're going to talk about the lip compression. This is basically her fighting attraction. And this is when she briefly compresses her lips together, because whenever you try to suppress a smile or even control your facial expressions, it's actually a good sign. And it means that she feels something, but she's trying to hide it. Also, we have the eyebrow flash. So a quick eyebrow raise when she first sees you, that's going to indicate recognition and interest. And to be honest, it's going to be so fast that most guys are going to miss it completely. Now, I'll be honest, learning these signals, they're going to take a lot of time in practice, but once you get the hang of it, your dating life will never be the same. But here's what separates beginners from masters, and that is you need to read these signals differently depending on where you are and what's happening around you, because different environments create different expression patterns. Women at the coffee shop at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday show interest differently than a woman who's at a nightclub on a Saturday night. Let's be real. Also, if she's in a professional setting, she might have some social pressure or cultural backgrounds that will affect how she overly displays her interest. So here's the key, and that is to do not expect the same signals in every situation. You're going to adjust your reading based on the environment, and you're going to want to look for deviations from her baseline behavior in that context. Now, the biggest mistake that I see men make is hoping that low interest women will somehow warm up over time and start showing more attraction. They won't, because you cannot negotiate genuine desire. Her interest level is placed and stated within the first 30 seconds. Her interest level in the first 30 seconds predicts the entire interaction. And here's what high value men do differently. They read the signals accurately. They invest energy only in a woman who shows genuine high interest, and they move on quickly from low interest interactions. They have the ability to walk away. And also, they focus on women who already are attracted to them. Now, if you do go about your dating strategy this way, this is going to save you a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of emotional investment, and money on dates that go nowhere. And this proves that avoiding time wasters and focusing on genuinely attractive women is not about luck or having some sort of sixth sense. It's really about recognizing specific biological signals that any guy can train himself to spot within seconds. But listen, being able to read her interest is only the beginning. Even if you become a master at identifying high interest women, if you don't know how to capitalize on that attraction, you'll still watch opportunities slip away. You need your conversation skills sharp, your escalation needs to be calibrated, and your overall game polished to convert the initial interest into something real. And if you're ready to take this to the next level with a personalized strategy that addresses your specific sticking points and create a complete transformational plan, click the link down below to see if you qualify to work for me directly. And if you want to immediately build on what you've learned here, make sure that you watch my video on the 10 micro habits that make you instantly perceived as higher value. Because once you can accurately read her interests, you want to make sure that you're consistently displaying the behaviors that create the interest in the first place. It should be popping up on your screen right now. So click the link right there, or you can find it in the description. So that's it for today. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.